All right. So, as you saw in my intro video, definitely a lot of tragedy, a lot of things going on over the last few weeks. The world we live in is just progressively, it seems, getting more and more evil, and more just cold to the evil. I mean, just unreactive to it, or reacting in the wrong way to it. Um, and and yeah, so I guess I'm going to go that direction on this one. Um, so last week we saw Charlie Kirk shot. Uh, it was a video that really should never have seen public consumption the way that it did. Any other video like that would have instantly on the social media platforms been covered up. Uh, at the very least, had been blurred out, and we would have all had to clicked a couple of extra things before we could have seen it. But most of those are run by very hard left leaning groups, and so since he was very right leaning, it was just open for everybody to see. It just seems rather convenient that his did not get covered up in the same way that others do. But that's not the point. Um, in the hours and the days after he died, what I saw was sickening to me. And what I saw was so many people taking to social media and just celebrating a life taken, celebrating the murder of an individual, the assassination of an individual, and just, the typed equivalent of people dancing in the street in celebration of the loss of life. And I was just disgusted. And then I thought to myself, I could never. How dare you? I could never. And then it occurred to me, I have. And it occurred to me that we are, those of us who are disgusted by the idea that these people are celebrating uh, the loss of Charlie's life, are currently posturing um, for this individual to be caught and then taken into custody and processed and then go through the legal system. We're currently positioning ourselves so that if justice is served in a way where the death penalty is handed down, we may celebrate that. And it hit me. How's it different? I mean, don't get me wrong. There are consequences. There are consequences to your actions, and justice must be served. And this, I get that, and I'm not saying that there shouldn't be, because if nothing is done, then it's going to, on a societal level, it's going to invite everyone who has a grudge to come out and do the same thing, and we're going to descend into anarchy. There has to be a consequence, and that consequence may well be the death penalty. And I'm not saying that that's wrong on a society to do that. What I'm saying is that we need not celebrate that. It may need to happen. It may be something that society determines is appropriate and correct. But we, especially as Christians, we should not celebrate that. I say that I have done it before. The one that really jumped out to me, and it's years ago that it happened, but the one that really jumped out to me is I remember when the reports came out that we got Osama bin Laden, and I celebrated that. I thought, wow, that guy, he was bad. We got him. He's gone. We don't have to worry about him anymore. And I celebrated the loss of his life. Well, these people are celebrating the loss of Charlie Kirk, who did nothing to deserve it. However, I'm fairly certain uh, through his own testimony, Charlie Kirk knew Jesus. Now, it wasn't, well, I was going to say it wasn't his time. God decides when it's our time, so it was his time. We don't feel like it was, but, um, but you know, we feel that Charlie Kirk was taken unjustly. That's the way to say that. He did nothing to deserve what he got, but but I believe that he is in the presence of Jesus now. So that's something that I can celebrate, even though I don't believe he should have been taken in the way or the time that he was. But I celebrated the death of a man who I am fairly certain didn't know Jesus. That to me is an evil that I am guilty of. Now I'm posturing, positioning myself that I might celebrate someone else being served the death penalty, being potentially put to death for Charlie Kirk's murder, who may or may not know Jesus. How is that not the same as people celebrating Charlie Kirk's death? I don't see that it's any better, and potentially even worse. Because in the hours after Charlie Kirk died, that was my concern. That was my thought. Find him and put him to death. Not find him and witness to him, not find him and find out the state of his soul, or find him and... No, my thought was find him and put him to death. That's a problem for me. And I think there are a lot out there who had the same motivation that I did. And that doesn't separate us that far from those celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. The only real difference is we feel like we can justify it, whereas we don't feel like they can justify theirs. And that's a slippery slope. We need to think about that. We need to be careful of that. We need to repent of that. And I include myself in that. Does justice need to be served? Absolutely. Because we live in a society that if we don't hold people accountable, then people will do whatever they want to do, and it becomes a very dangerous place to live, and it becomes anarchy very quickly. So yes, justice needs to be served, but that doesn't mean that those consequences need to be celebrated. People need to be punished for what they do, but that doesn't mean it's our job to celebrate that punishment, because we need to still understand that that punishment is not going to be fun for them, whether it's a term in prison, a life in prison, or a death at the hands of the government that determines that they deserve it. So justice, yes. Celebration over that justice, that's a fine line to walk, and we need to be careful about that. So I'll see you in the next one. I've still got at least one more point to make.